So, I know y'all were expecting a video on like the life cycle of a frog, but unfortunately for us, we have a dead body in our hands. I know, tragic, but now the task at hand is to find out what happened. Now I know I would do it myself, but I can't handle another lawsuit, and there's only so much my OSHA certification can do. Luckily, I'll teach you all you'll need to know to do it, i.e. forensic pathology and the art of the autopsy. Now, what is forensic pathology? Well, to start off, let's break down the word. Pathology is the study of causes and effects of disease. Forensic pathology expands on this by investigating the cause and effects of sudden death. Whether natural or not, the way they do this is by collecting evidence that will then be sent to detectives and other forensic labs for testing and performing autopsies. What actually are autopsies anyways? Well, for starters, an autopsy is a post-mortem exam of a body done to determine the cause of death. They can be clinical or forensic, but for this video, we will focus on the forensic side. So with that being said, let's go over the four types. There's the full, which is basically what you see on TV with a full body search and removal of organs. The external is none of the Frankenstein stuff, only an exam on the external wounds and clothes. The limited is like the full, but not everything may be taken out. On the flip side, a full with CNS, central nervous system, is like the full but with an autopsy of the brain. I am a visual learner, so we are going to be doing a mock autopsy on our victim to show you what a full autopsy is like, but not actually. Sam will be our sitting corpse. We start with an external exam, checking the body for wounds and swabbing for DNA under fingernails or anywhere we can think of. Then we try to determine the weapons used based on the wounds. We will take fingerprints individually if the body is in the right shape. Then after all of that, we will gather body fluids from the eyes to be taken for toxicology. Let's get on to the grisly stuff. To begin the autopsy, the pathologist will put a block under the back so that the chest protrudes, then starts the cutting. They begin with a Y cut from the shoulders past the navel using a scalpel, cutting past skin, muscle, and fat. Pull the flaps outward and hold them there with forceps, exposing the neck muscles. By doing this, they can remove the ribcage, larynx, esophagus, arteries, and ligaments, as well as cutting off ties to the spinal cord, bladder, and rectum so they can reach the organs. Once this is done, the pathologist removes your organs altogether, weighing them individually and cutting usually 3 strips of organ tissue to be tested for disease or outside factors. In cases where the organs as a whole were needed for further testing, rather than being bagged, they are stored in formalin to be preserved. After all that mess is over with, it's time to make a bigger mess. The pathologist will move onto the head, using a scalpel again. They start the cut behind one ear all the way to the other, effectively cutting open the crown and pulling back the skin. They'll then take out a small electric saw, which they use to detach the skull cap. After the brain is exposed, they detach it from the spinal cord, thus being able to take it out and examine it. After a good stitch-up, the autopsy is done, then time for paperwork.